Hello everyone, welcome to What If Issei Becomes the Rebel Angel of Heaven movie. Before we start, please go support God of Hope for writing that awesome fanfic. This is the translated version I made. There will be some mistaken character's gender, but of course Issei is a male. Issei, a rebel angel who seeks freedom in his life. Rias, a demon who only seeks happiness in his life. What do they have in common? Well, despite being sworn enemies, they will show that together they can overcome the adversities and challenges that those who do not accept them put before them. Eventual harem, very different from the canon. Prologue. Long ago, since God created the earth, the angels and the demons fought for control of this. It all began when Lucifer, one of the most powerful angels, decided to no longer follow his father and be free, but that cost him dearly, since God himself did not look favorably on that rebellion. In heaven, when Lucifer gathered some angels to be free in the world, God and his army tried to eliminate them. They were able to defend themselves, but they did not achieve what they wanted. God turned them into beings of darkness and condemned them to be thrown into the underworld, where for them it would only be an illusion of the world they longed for. Centuries passed, and with the powers of the four mass and the 72 pillars of demons, they gathered to form an army and marched to heaven, where they would take revenge against their creator. The battle for possession of the world was chaotic and bloody. So far there has been no winner. Many of us question why wars are fought. Most people may think that it is natural for it to happen, others may say that one fights for their ideals, but the truth is that even if they have a different purpose, the truth is to protect those we love. And the greatest weaknesses for a warrior is the heart. This was known by a rebellious angel who seeks to fly the skies without being oppressed, and a demon heiress who seeks to be happy living in the world. Lives. I already told you to leave me alone, Dad, let me fly in peace, don't you understand? And I already told you that we have to go to praise God, it is obligatory for every angel. They were two angels, one of them was a 16-year-old teenager with brown hair and green eyes. He had the angel's clothing, which was a white tunic with wide sleeves, white cargo pants and Roman-style sandals. The other was an older man with golden armor and longer hair than his son's, only it was blonde. And his clothing was armor between gold and red with a cross symbol. They both flew, the only difference was that the boy had white wings and the man had 12 pairs of golden wings. But the only thing they have in common is the golden halo that shines above their heads. We do it every day, and to finish we go out to kill demons. I don't want to follow orders. I want to fly free in the sky. The boy flew higher and faster with the intention of leaving him behind, but he didn't expect that man to appear in front of him. Look, son. I know that at your age it is very difficult for you, but you must understand that we angels are the strongest creation of God. We live to serve God, we cannot do whatever we please just on a whim. But if God gave us these wings and we didn't use them, then he wouldn't have given them to us. We always do what he orders, but he only leaves us aside to see humans. I know you're not happy with this, but you have to accept it. Accepting it is very difficult for me. The older angel just sighed, looking at the little one who kept talking. The eldest angel is one of the strongest angels and the right hand of God. Michael. In front of him was his son, an angel that God allowed him to have for his courage on the battlefield, and since then he has been caring for him and training him to be an angel, and for God to recognize him as another of his servants. We'll talk about it later, but now we have to go. But Dad. I didn't let him finish when I touched him on the shoulder, and both of them disappeared from the sky in a golden flash. To appear in a white city with high pointed buildings that passed through the clouds. Golden bridges, and in the center was a large castle raised above a huge lake of white clouds. In the lakes you could see the whales of the sky. Like the white whale with diamonds and wings from The Legend of Zelda. Both flew over the lake, where the whales, seeing them, jumped out of the lake and submerged again. And it wasn't just the two of them, most of the angels flew towards the castle, but stopped before reaching its walls. Only about 7 angels with golden wings were flying towards the entrance. Stay here. And I don't want you to run away. If what you say. He said this without much enthusiasm, making the elder angel sigh and going to the entrance, leaving the boy floating. Looking at the box where God always comes out to receive his praises. Issei. The boy turned around to see about 3 girls about his age. She was a blonde with emerald green eyes, who had an innocent and tender smile. Her clothing was that of tunics, only instead of pants she had a skirt that reached above the knee and silver Roman sandals. She was Raphael's daughter. Another one had dark blonde hair tied into 2 long pigtails, purple eyes, and had the same clothes, except that the tunic was more pronounced at the bust. She was Gabriel's daughter. Another was a girl with short blue hair and a green lock on her forehead. Golden eyes and a very noticeable seriousness. She was the daughter of Uriel. All 3 had white wings and golden halos above their heads. Hey girls, how are you? Ice-chan, did you try to escape praise again? This is Gabriel's daughter speaking. Well, Irina, come on girls, you know this is very boring. Besides, in the time we're here we could fly through the skies and. None of that Issei, we as angels and close to being the right hands of our parents, have to comply and give a good example to the lesser angels. Uriel's daughter said in a serious and strict tone. Zenobi, I think you are exaggerating. Issei-san, leaving heaven is very dangerous, our parents have forbidden us to go to earth until we are ready. I know Asia, but. He walks away looking at the walls that divide the kingdom of heaven from the earth. I want to soar through those huge skies where I can fly, meet humans. I want to live what they call freedom. The girls looked on with concern as they were raised to obey God's orders, something Issei is very different from. Meanwhile, in the castle preparing for the praises were the 7 archangels, 4 of them were speaking. Hey Michael, your son apparently ventured outside the wall again. I know Uriel, there are times when I don't know what to do with that boy. Our daughters asked to be your son's wife. At that the chief archangel just remained silent before the question of the fire of God. You didn't tell him that at 16 cycles he has to get married. It's not that easy, Gabriel, that boy wants those girls, but he doesn't see them that way, he only sees them as friends. Well, my daughter has more chances since her tenderness is her advantage and she is a good example for a perfect wife. What are you talking about, Raphael? It is obvious that my daughter has the upper hand since she is the example of a strong woman and an excellent warrior. Both are wrong. My daughter is the one who will win. Since she has more daring and stops at nothing to get it, and if her target is Issei-kun, then it is obvious that it is already assured. Gabriel, don't be so arrogant. That's what Michael said with a drop of sweat on his forehead. Come on everyone, let's not fight, my son hasn't chosen one yet and there's still a long way to go before we get there, but let's leave that aside, we have to go to the pillars. The archangels flew and stood on some pillars, there were 7 of them, and once they were on those pillars they rose until they reached a height that was above the angels, but did not reach the height of God's stage. They waited until the creator of heaven came out and he came out. He had the appearance of a 17-year-old boy with white hair and golden eyes with a crown-shaped halo, and 7 pairs of gold-colored wings with silver greens that reflected a divine glow. His robes were golden and made of the finest silk. In his right hand, he had a golden staff that was twice his size, in the shape of a cross with a ring in the middle and open ends. He was God. It was his time for praise. Michael on his pillar knelt along with the other 6, and the rest of the angels bowed and lowered their heads. God just smiled with satisfaction and then spoke. Let the praises begin. The trumpet sounded, beginning the praises. Change of scene. What do you mean I have to get married? Rias, don't raise your voice, you already heard your father. We are doing this for your own good, daughter. In a castle in the underworld, a 17-year-old girl with long crimson hair and blue eyes. She looked at her parents as if they were condemning her to death. Her clothing was fine crimson and scarlet silk clothing, including a long coat that almost touched the ground, a scarlet buttoned shirt, and a short black skirt with a crimson border, black stockings that reached her thighs, and red buckled shoes. I can't believe they want me to get married when I haven't looked for the right person for me, I haven't even fallen in love, and they tell me that I have to get married and to end it. Razor, third son of the Phoenix family, is the best match we could get you, and just because he's my friend Ravel's older brother doesn't mean he's the right one. I decide who I should marry. Rias, the decision has been made, in 4 years you will marry Razor and give us an heir. Whether you like it or not, you are the heiress of the Gremory family and you must do what is best for the family. Daughter, listen to your mother, maybe if you get to know him you and he could fall in love and. He couldn't finish when he saw his daughter coming out of the dining room doors. You're going where we're going, we haven't finished talking. I did finish, mother. And that was it. Bam. Not without first slamming the huge doors in a violent manner, expressing their great discontent. Both parents only sighed with exhaustion since they were expecting this, and the father even more so. I think we should have let her choose her Venezuelan husband. Love, you know that she has met almost all the young nobles and says that they are all the same, except for her cousin Sererg. I still think we should have kept trusting her. You know that the decision has already been made. We have an agreement with the Phoenix and we cannot break our promise. I just hope that one day she can forgive us. I hope so too, love. While they were talking, the heiress walked briskly away from everything. Black wings appeared from her back, but they were like bat wings. With them she rose and flew in any direction until she reached a hill with almost all kinds of flowers. It was his favorite place where he can be without any problem. But at that moment she wanted what her parents had told her to be just a joke. She didn't want anyone to see her cry, but. We heard the news. Rias-sama, I'm sorry for what my family did. Are you okay? She turned to see who they were. The girl with short black hair, semi-framed glasses, and purple eyes, wearing fine blue cloth clothes. She was Sona, heiress of the Citri family. The other was a girl with blonde hair done in drill pigtails, dark green eyes, and an orange Oju-sama style dress. She was Ravel, fourth heiress of the Phoenix family. And finally there was a boy with long black hair and brown eyes, with good muscles. He had black robes, but loose enough to show his muscles. He was Saraerg, the only heir of the Bale King family. Two of them had bat wings, while the blonde had orange fire wings. Eyes like. Did we find you? We know you and we know what can go through your mind, friend. Rias-sama, I apologize 1,000 times for what happened. It's not your fault, Ravel. I know the kind of brother you have, and I'm glad you're not like him. The trio of girls could only hug each other because of this. And what will you do, cousin? For now I will go to Dissidia, then I will look for a way to get out of this marriage. Ria's friends remained silent, not knowing what to do to cheer her up. Well, if that's the case, we'll go with you. We will follow her to Dissidia. Thanks girls, but I want to go alone. I need to be alone. They didn't say anything. In fact, the only thing they could do was leave her and go. They respected his decision to go to that country for at least one day. They left and the she-devil used her magic to be able to cross the barrier from the underworld to the earth. Change of scene. The kingdom of Dissidia, a kingdom where peace can thrive. Where many of the supernatural creatures gather to be safe from the holy war of God and the mass. Its vast expanses of land and mountains make it good for agriculture and livestock. The extensive forests of trees offer life. But what draws a lot of attention is the capital city of Dissidia. Nollitus. Nollitus is a city where the king and founder of the kingdom resides. Azazel. One of the angels who decided to leave the divinity of God for his love of the world, he along with 6 of his best companions and a considerable number of angels, came down to the world and formed the kingdom that we now know. With the sole purpose of being a refuge for all the magical creatures of the world, be they humans, elves, lamias, harpies, centaurs, yaokais, fairies, kolbos, and how many more it would take me to say. But the price to pay for coming down to earth and leaving God's side was losing their purity and their halo, but for them it was something they accepted with pride. It only took 5 human generations to raise this kingdom and lead it to greatness. That was a place that the devil was forbidden to enter because demons and angels were forbidden to enter. The kingdom was under constant protection of the Order of Grigori, an order of warriors formed by many supernatural races, but the highest ranks are held by the fallen angels, as they were the first founders. She could only see the majestic city rising from the skies with its silver-colored towers. Now I understand why God and the Mass-Amma want Dissidia. Rias walked away into the forest, no longer seeing Nollitus. She was looking for the place she always used to go to. It was a secret place that only she knew, and she found it on her first day of coming to the middle world. But she would find something she never expected in her entire life. Change of scene. Did you that? That was the cry in the palace of the first archangel, where the right hand of God lives. Issei, you have to calm down and listen to me. Do you want me to calm down after hearing that you promised me that I would marry one of my friends? How do you expect me to do that? That is the result of telling his son the truth about his engagement to the daughters of his fellow archangels, even though deep down he expected him to react like that. Issei, I know I should have told you this before, but the thing is that you have to be with someone who will become your partner. Girls love you and want to be with you. But I only see them as my friends. You can't ask me to agree to marry one when I can't feel anything beyond friendship. I'm sorry son, you will love the one you choose over time. But you have to accept this. Accept it. That was perhaps the straw that broke the camel's back. When I want to fly free and you don't let me, you tell me you have to accept it. When I'm not allowed to visit the world below, you tell me you have to accept it, and now when you arranged a marriage without asking my opinion, and especially when they're my friends, you tell me you have to accept it. It's always the same with you. I do this so that you can be a great angel. But I'm just trapped in this place among the clouds. I don't want to be a prince in the heavens, I want my freedom. Issei, I know that one day you will thank me, and you will see that what I am doing is not only for your own good, but so that you can be my right hand if I fall in this war that we are fighting, so whether you like it or not, you have to accept it. That last word was what made the young angel angry and he responded heartily. Well then accept this dad, I am not you and I will never be you, I will never be a conformist and closed-minded like you. He left the place in the direction of the castle gate. Issei, we haven't finished talking. But he didn't listen to him. Come back here, don't leave me talking to myself. And without further ado he left the door and spread his wings to fly away from the castle. But what he didn't notice was that his friends along with his parents who were about to enter, saw Issei coming out and flying wherever he wanted. They had come to convince him to accept along with his parents who wanted to discuss matters with Michael. And at the door was Michael who watched as his son disappeared into the firmament of the heavens. It seems that he didn't take the news very well. This is what the left hand of God asked his fellow archangel, well he only sighed from the stress he had had due to the matter. I don't know what to do with that boy anymore. The girls were preparing to go after the dog. No girls, it's better to leave him, he needs to be alone for a while. Those were Michael's words, to which they, even though they wanted to go and be next to that angel they like, just obeyed. Since they can understand that it was very difficult for him to assimilate it. For now they could only wait. Change of scene. The same boy was sitting alone on the edge of a huge expanse of white clouds, his gaze was lost and sad. Who wouldn't have that feeling, knowing that not only are you restricted, but you are forced to do something you don't want to do? Issei felt trapped in heaven, which is considered paradise. It was a cage. And even if it is made of gold, it is still what it is, a cage. Why is this happening to me? Those were his thoughts as he clenched his palms and was about to continue, but what are you doing here, my child? He turned around to see who that calm and peaceful voice belonged to. He was shocked to see who it was. The same God. And he smiled at her. He quickly stood up and knelt before her. My Lord Father. My apologies. Don't worry, son. I just went out to walk and see the surroundings of my kingdom, but forget about me, I can see in your eyes that something is wrong with you. Don't worry, sir. The angel had no idea what to do and how to act in the presence of the creator of heaven and light. Relax. You don't have to be so tense and tell me what's bothering you. Well then. He already had the confidence and courage to speak to him and told him how he had been since they told him he had to get married, and God listened to everything and agreed to some things. When the angel finished, he could only let out a sigh of relief, since that was what he needed, someone to listen to him. I see you have it tough in your young life, you remind me of someone. Oh really? If I'm serious, he had the same ideals as you, only in his heart there was a darkness that could hurt many, and that is something I couldn't allow, but I see that you have a good heart, you are kind, and a warrior who would give everything for those he cares about. My Lord does not have to praise me, I am supposed to praise you as an angel. There are times when I would like to get out of my routine of praises, son. I have many years of seniority, and the monotonous is my main enemy apart from the demons and those who threaten my kingdom. You are a great king. But you are a free being, and those desires for freedom cannot be overshadowed. That was something Issei didn't expect. The god he criticized as an oppressor encouraged him to seek his freedom. That's right, he'll have to apologize one of these days. Look son, let's do this. You will go to the world below without your father finding out, in exchange. In exchange for what? He didn't answer, he just snapped his fingers, and a pink light appeared on the staff, and from it a small being with a pink body, small ears, blue eyes, small front legs, large hind legs like a rabbit's, and a long thin tail with a thick part at the tip. Issei was surprised by that creature that he had never seen before in his short life as an angel. What is that, my lord? This little guy is Mew, one of my secret creations. He knows the world below and can take you there without your father noticing. Sir, what if they find out that I'm absent? Don't worry, once a certain amount of time passes he will bring you back. Thank you sir, thank you very much. You're welcome, now go and have fun. Mew, try to keep him safe and have fun too. Mew, Mew. Mew floated and landed on Issei's head and then disappeared in a pink flash. As if they had never been there. As for God, he could only smile and walk again along the edge of the clouds. But in his mind there were thoughts of a fun plan. Now it only depends on Mew taking him where I told him, and that's it. I better go back to my abode to see what happens. The whole time he walked he had a very sly smile, as if he had done something mischievous. Change of scene. In the blue sky at the heights of the mountains was a pink flash in which a creature and an angel appeared. Issei had his eyes closed, and when he opened them he was speechless. He never thought he would see green mountains, because in the sky the mountains were made of clouds. He also never thought he would see large expanses of land and plants. And much less did he think he would see a large number of creatures of different types and sizes. Wow, this place is amazing. Mew, Mew, Mew. Hey. What are you saying? Mew, Mew, Mew. Mew with his tail gave him the signal to follow him as an invitation to the spot. What do you want to play with? Well, you'll see how I catch you, Mew. Mew, 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 Mew. He said those words in a playful tone and then flew away. Hey wait. Issei flew with the best he had in flight to be able to reach Mew. Something that was difficult for him since he was very fast for being small. He kept flying as best he could, but of course he had fun chasing it. After about 2 hours Mew stopped to let Issei rest, who was exhausted. The poor angel was catching his breath. But then he saw something that amazed him. It was a large waterfall with crystal clear water in a beautiful blue color. My goodness, this is what the books say, waterfalls are great. But he couldn't continue talking when Mew was surrounded by a sphere of energy and submerged in the water. Okay, if it's to the water then I'll follow you there. He took off his tunic and then a white button-down shirt to leave himself without anything, showing his worked and trained upper body, and as if he were going to dive in, he entered the water. But what he didn't realize was that Mew came out just as he submerged. Around him was a pink bubble of energy that protected him from the water, and then he flew off in another direction, leaving the angel alone. 2 minutes later Issei emerged from the water, catching his breath and looking for the little pink one with his eyes. Mew, where did you go? Mew, maybe it's still downstairs. Well then. He took another breath and dove back in hoping to find it. While on the other side a girl with long red hair and blue eyes walked to her favorite place when she visited the world above, as she calls it, or the land for demons. But in his mind, even when he tried to get away from his problems, he had no way of getting rid of them. What made her very sad. No matter what I do, all my problems won't be solved this way, and my friends can't help me. She looked up at the sky hoping that at least God would take pity on her and help her. God, I know you don't listen to me because you're a demon, but if you have so much kindness and love in your heart, help me. I'll settle for anything but help me, I just want to be happy. He never thought his call would be answered. In a way I never expected. Just as she turned back on her way, something appeared in front of the she-devil. Mew. She opened her eyes to what she saw, never in her life anything like it. Mew, mew. He knew that the little creature was talking to him. Hey, hey, little one. Mew. And without saying anything he ran away. No, wait. She followed him. After all, she had nothing to do, and besides she found that animal cute. Rias tried to reach him with her wings, but he was very elusive until he disappeared with a pink flash. He realized it was a waterfall, his favorite place. But she also saw that bubbles were coming out of the water, something she did not understand since it was a place that no one knew. I just hope that here whatever is in the water comes out. After a few minutes something emerged, and it was Yue. The girl jumped slightly when she saw that it was a boy almost her age. Mew, this isn't fun anymore. Where are you? Who are you? The angel turned around to see who spoke to him and was surprised to see her, but he was also surprised by her wings. Who are you? I ask you first. The angel came out of the water, his body soaked, and Rias blushed and covered her eyes at the sight she saw. You know why? Could you put your clothes on? I can't talk seeing you like this. Hey. What's wrong with me? It's just. He couldn't say the next words because something happened to him. Ooh. Flash. And a very strong pain in the head was what he felt when he slipped on a rock. How clumsy, right? Change of scene. Hey, can you hear me? His vision was dark. Hey, are you okay? It cleared up to see that it was the same girl with a worried look on her face. After he regained his senses, a pain came to his head. He was lying down while she had him on her lap to continue looking at Issei's body. Oh, what happened to me? You slipped on a rock and hit your head when you fell backwards into the water. You were lucky you didn't drown. He tried to get back up, but Rias didn't let him. Try not to move too much. Pain can have serious consequences. Don't worry about this, I've had worse blows. And why are you looking at me so much? That's what the redhead asked when she saw how the brown-haired boy looked at her. Well, your eyes. What is it about my eyes? Well, you stole the blue color from the sky. At that, she blushed even more. She could see that the brunette didn't say it with the intention of seducing or with any other intentions. And even more so since she was already used to being idolized by many noble demons. But hearing the innocent words of that boy made her heart skip a beat. But what are you saying? She couldn't complete a sentence without stuttering, especially when she was closer to the chestnut tree. Did I say something wrong? Nothing, you didn't say anything bad. Okay. I can get up now. Yes, this I think you have already recovered. Issei got up, touching the part where he received the blow, and Rias just put a hand on her chest, feeling her heartbeat. Hey, thanks for saving me. No, you're welcome. But you have to be more careful. I'll definitely have it next time. Michael's son smiled at the heiress in a carefree manner, still with his hand on the back of his head. To which she blushed and couldn't look away from him. But listen, have you seen? What? Achoo. BAPF. The boy had sneezed, but as he did so his wings sprouted and his halo appeared above his head. Rias was in shock when she saw him, a big shock. It's an angel. Gosh, I hope I don't get sick, Nif. That's what Issei said, hoping not to catch a cold, but when he saw the girl's scared face, he just asked. Hey, what's wrong? Do I have something on my face? You are an angel. He could only speak between stutters because he was afraid. Afraid of facing him and losing his life. And what's wrong with me? Well, I'm a demon. Aren't you going to attack me? Are you a demon? Rias knew that she made a mistake. She knew from his face that he was surprised to know that she is a demon. She still does not hide her wings. He only had one choice, but you are not a demon, you are nothing like what I have been told. Just as you heard, if you were a demon you would have horns, red skin, a tail with an arrowhead and bat wings. You look like a human to me. Rias couldn't believe it. According to what her parents told her, angels were beings without feelings, without mercy and without sympathy for what is not holy. But that boy proved that what he knows about them is almost wrong. He could only hold his head and sit up as he stood up to prepare an attack. Hey, are you okay? No. Don't worry. I really don't know what's happening to me anymore. Are you having problems? Something like that. Well, we are equal. That's what I miss about Rias, because according to what I hear, there are no problems in paradise. Do you have them too? Issei sat on the grass next to the demon. She wondered why that angel didn't attack her. What do you think if we do this? You tell me your problems, and I'll tell you mine. Is it a deal? The truth is that if someone had told him before that at some point in his life, he would talk about his problems with a sworn enemy because of his race, he would take it as a joke. Thank goodness no one told him that. But at this point she still wanted a confidant to listen to her. He told her everything, how his parents simply gave their hand to a person who doesn't even feel feelings or anything like that, and even thought that they didn't care what she thinks, and only do it for the benefits that their marriage would bring them. When she finished telling the story she felt relieved and as if a weight, although not completely, had been lifted from her shoulders. But wow, gosh, I thought I was the only one. That opened the she-devil's eyes in surprise. Wait, you're there too? Yes. But like you, I don't want this either. Issei told his problem to Rias. He, like his father, always restricts things that make him feel free, and he tells him, you have to accept it, but the worst was when he promised him an holy matrimony, and that he had to choose one of the descendants of the archangels. And to finish off, his father never considered what he wants. Rias could identify with that angel. She knew that even though they were sworn enemies due to their races, both of them could feel that their lives had no way out. To which she only gave her opinion. I think your father sees you as a substitute. Well, I think your people see you as a bargaining chip. When you laugh I just sigh and look at the sky sadly. I know that I still want to find my happiness. I want to find someone who sees me, and not the heiress. I want someone who recognizes me as I am, but it seems that it is impossible. Don't say things like that. The devil was surprised when Issei raised his voice, and with a determined look he stood up. You can't give up like that. I think your wish is great. And I also think that you shouldn't give up without a fight. That would be what a nonconformist would do, and I don't like conformist people. You have to keep fighting, because if you give up it would be like me giving up on finding my freedom to decide and express what I think. So don't tell me it's impossible, because if your ideal is important then nothing is impossible. Rias didn't know what to say. That your sworn enemy encouraged you to fight for his wish is something that is beyond all logic for a demon. But again, what you know about angels is almost wrong. He was going to speak, but something interrupted them. Was Mew. That's right. It was Mew floating between them and spinning as if it wanted to play. Mew, where were you? I was looking for you at the waterfall. Mew, Mew. The little one clapped his little paws as if he wanted to play. I think he wants us to play with him. Wow, you are very playful. If what you want is to play, then you will have it. Mew, Mew. So I have. I spread my wings to fly in pursuit, but hey, do you want to play? To which she didn't expect that. She tried to respond, but she didn't have time since Issei grabbed her wrist and flew into the air. Hey, wait, I didn't say I was going to play. The angel did not listen to her and continued flying. The devil continued to protest, but when she knew that he was not going to let her go, she just resigned herself. They both flew with the intention of catching Mew, and in a few minutes Rias began to have fun. There were few times in his life that he was able to have fun, since the society of the demons was very serious as nobles and servants. There was no room for fun in the underworld, and even more so with a war on their backs. He smiled and laughed at that fun game and how he saw the angel escape from him. 3 hours passed and they rested from flying and playing with Mew while he was asleep in Ria's lap. That little one is very playful. Look how well he flies that he slipped away from me. Yes, I know, he's like a little boy. But he's very sweet like that. That's what Rias said while stroking Mew's pink fur. This place is so much fun. The world below is fun. I wish I could stay in this world all my life. They don't let you leave heaven. If it is not with my father's permission, I cannot even show my nose. Phew. That's not funny. Can you imagine being in a cage? It doesn't matter if it's made of gold and diamonds, it's still a cage. Well then I would go crazy if they locked me in a cage. But you see my point now? But is there something I don't understand? Are we enemies? And? Well, aren't we supposed to kill each other? They both remained silent. Rias was waiting for the not-so-sure answer he gave to the angel until. Do you want to kill me? No. There you have your answer. She didn't know what to say to the chestnut's words except laugh and have the chestnut join in. They were both so happy that they almost forgot what they were talking about. I said almost because Rias asked another question after calming down her laughter. So what are we? I think that makes us friends. Friends? Yes, if we don't want to fight each other, why aren't we friends? But that wouldn't make sense. And who cares, after all we are not in heaven or in the underworld, and besides it is not our war yet. Well, that does make sense. So what do you say? Do you want to be my friend? He extended his hand to let the Redeed know that he wants to be her friend. But I don't know your name. For God's sake, don't show up. How slow. It was the thought I had along with a drop of sweat on my temple. Ahem, my name is Issei, son of the Archangel Michael, the right hand of God, and according to him, I am like a prince in heaven. My name is Rias, heiress of the Gremory family and sister of the current Mao Lucifer. Well then, what do you say, friends? She looked at the hand for a moment. She didn't know if what she was doing was a good or bad thing, either for herself or for her race. But being with her sworn enemy of the demons were moments she didn't want to end. She is selfish, and if her wishes ask her to befriend that angel, then. Yes, friends. I would do it. I take that hand as a sign that their pact of friendship was sealed. You. They saw that the little Mew was beginning to wake up, and with a cute yawn he floated and. Mew, 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 Mew. What's wrong, Mew? The little one only touched Issei's tunic with his little paws and pointed upwards with his tail. The brown-haired boy knew what he was trying to tell him, and that bothered him. He has to go back to heaven. Okay, Mew, I understand. What's wrong, Issei? Mew tells me that I have to return to heaven before my father finds out that I escaped. But will I see you again? Of course I will try to return to this place, but I don't know when. Rias was sad to know that her new friend had to leave. That's something Issei saw, and he could only do something to cheer her up. The feather was removed from his wings, although it hurt a little. He gave it to Rias, who took it with her delicate hands, looking and feeling the softness of the white feather. But this you won't feel alone. My feather will warm you just by touching it. Issei, can you give me your pen? Of course you are my friend, why wouldn't I give you something of mine? She smiled with happiness. Then she took out a ring with an emerald green stone from her ring finger and took Issei's hand to put it on. This is my ring given to me by my mother, she says it offers you safety on stormy nights. But Rias, this is not. It's mine and I want to give it to you, especially if it's my friend who I want to give it to. They both looked at each other without saying anything, just the two of them. The warrior angel with a dream of freedom of his own. And a demon heiress with a desire to be happy for being herself. Two opposite beings. Belonging to races that are destined to destroy each other. Being friends without any desire for hatred or intentions to hate each other, only friendship and perhaps more. Change of scene. My goodness, everything is going as I calculated it. In a higher castle in a throne room, the same god had his eyes closed and was smiling. I knew that young angel and young demon would join their paths. I just hope that they can achieve what I couldn't a long time ago, but for now I will keep watching them and we will see which way this will go. God leaned back on his throne in relaxation. Hoping that his plans could be fulfilled, he only had one thought in his head. You will succeed, I know you will. Slavery. 6 days passed. And in that time, whenever they could, both. Angel and devil met in that place to play and spend time together. There was a very calm and attractive aura about both of them. Issei enjoyed the land as he could learn great things. Rias enjoyed teaching him as she knew many things and loved having the angel's full attention. Now they were on a hill resting under the shade of a tree. With Mew sleeping in its branches. My goodness, I never thought that getting to know the earth could be so much fun. Well, Issei, what we have seen is not the whole earth. Wait. There's more. She loved to see the curious look of that angel. In the north there are white and frozen lands that the cold would reach your bones. In the south there is land with grasses. As far as the eye can see, the world is huge and vast. Wow, if that's the case, I want to know everything. She laughed at the great enthusiasm that the angel had. After 2 hours, Issei fell asleep leaning against a tree while the Redeed looked at him. Every time I was with him it was like a gift. Every moment was unique and I could always count on the angel whenever I wanted to talk. Every time she wants to be herself. It didn't bother him that this angel was innocent and very funny, in fact that attracted him to him. Her demon instinct sometimes invited her to take those angel lips. And enjoy that purity that radiates every time he smiles and is happy. She didn't know how, but if one day she goes to war and faces this angel, she will never be able to hurt him. Since he has become an important person in your life. And he wants it to remain that way. She rested her head on the angel's chest and smiled as she felt that warmth she couldn't find in anyone else, not even her parents. For her, that angel. It became his treasure. You are what I treasure most in life. I wouldn't want to be your sworn enemy, but to be with you is my Issei. What she doesn't know is that in a pure and unconditional way. She fell in love with that rebellious and innocent angel. 2 days passed and Issei walked through the streets of heaven. Smiling in a cheerful and playful way as she loved spending time with her devil friend. It must be said that several angels looked at the prince and were happy to see that radiant smile, since Issei was very loved in heaven. When the chestnut tree arrived home to his father's palace, he saw that the maids were preparing some things, and they were from his father. Issei, you're here. He looked at his father coming down the stairs. Dad, what's wrong? Why are you packing? I will go to Earth to free territories that the demons have in their power. I will go to save those people. You meant to dominate those territories for heaven. The archangel sighed at his son's response. Son, we already talked about this. Demons are evil and have no right to settle on Earth. The world belongs to God our Lord. And we have to kill each other just to get rid of the demons. Are we never going to have peace? Peace will exist when the demons are completely eliminated and Dissidia is conquered by heaven. Dissidia is neutral. You want to attack a kingdom that doesn't want war. Its vast expanses of land and its vast army composed of many supernatural races make it a very dangerous enemy. The world will be at peace when heaven rules everything and everyone. Issei looked at his father knowing that what he said was a total mistake. No one will accept God if his followers incite conflict and war. Son, one day you will understand. You will take my place and rule this world under the grace of our Lord. For now concentrate on choosing the one who will be your wife, and I hope that when I return from my trip, you have already chosen, so that you can be my successor, although if you want you can choose the three, since you are the Prince of Heaven. Several men took their things, and outside there was a convoy of many soldiers mounted on Pegasi. I'll be back, son, and remember that even if you don't like it, you have to accept it. And with that the archangel withdrew. Leaving the brown-haired boy alone, who looked angrily, having in his head everything his father said. He will never accept that, he will never accept war, and he will be like him. Because if I were like him I would never have my great and beloved friend by my side. The one who did listen to him and advised him. Who showed him things that he did not know and wanted to know about both the world and the underworld. The one who has captivated him just by being herself and not being what society wants. He looked at the ring on his hand, that ring she gave him. I will never hurt you, I prefer to betray my race than fight you Rias my Rias. What he doesn't know is that in an honest and immaculate way. He fell in love with that quiet but loving demoness. Rias was in her room. I think it's missing some details. Room that had rolls of fabrics of many elegant colors and also various textured ornaments. I loved making dresses and clothes. In fact, all the clothes she has in her closet were made by herself. Every time she made clothes it was like escaping from those problems that her own family brought her. But he was so wrapped up in his world that he didn't notice a woman had entered. Rias, that again. It was Venelana who saw her daughter's hobby as something outside the norm that a young lady should have. Rias realized who entered her room. Mom, this is supposed to be my room, leave me alone. Your fiancé is on his way so you two can get acquainted, you're supposed to be getting ready to receive him, and you're stuck with this stuff. Mom, what I do with my time is none of your business, and I already told you that I don't want to marry that guy. For Venelana this was bad. His daughter was to marry to increase the family's prestige, and it was his duty to fulfill the plan. Everything according to plan. And her daughter doing these things of designing clothes was just her way of going against her absolute authority. I will not tolerate this kind of behavior from you. You have 10 minutes to get ready or I will be forced to make all this stuff disappear from you. For her, it was a threat, since everything she has she got from gifts that the servants gave her for her kindness and for being attentive to what they needed. I'll wait for you downstairs, and I want you to smile like a lady should smile. The matriarch left Rias alone, who wanted to scream about this injustice that was being done to her. Can't they just leave her alone and live her life with whoever she wants? Is she doomed to be the wife of an arrogant heir who only sees her as a trophy? She didn't want this. I wanted to be free. I wanted to be loved. I wanted to. Issei was in a house under construction. Helping in whatever way I could. Or almost doing everything since he was as good with tools as he was with weapons. Since when he is not training he helps others with heavy work and more. Whether in construction or in markets with heavy merchandise. Or in the fields helping. That's why Issei was loved in Michael's territories. Because he is always willing to build and help. Issei-san. He turned to see what his fiancés were. Girls, what are you doing here? We were looking for you to go for a walk. I'm sorry Arena but I'm working. But Issei-san you don't need to work, you're a prince. Asia, I already said that I don't want to be a prince. Issei come down now. He sighed and then apologized to the owner and obeyed Zenobia. I went down and went to the walk I didn't want to have. They all took him to many places he didn't feel like going. And to top it off, they didn't notice the angel's lack of enthusiasm. When they arrived at a park. Issei-chan, which one of us are you going to choose? Arena's question brought him out of his thoughts. The other two angels looked on, waiting for the brown-haired boy's answer. Girls, I have no intention of getting married, especially if it's you, since I only see you as my friends. Please understand me. They hadn't liked that. Issei-san, we love you very much. Why don't you want to accept our feelings if they are pure? Asia understands that I. Issei-chan, I know you don't love us yet, but I know you will love us in time, and I think we can share you if necessary. The brown-haired boy patted his head at Irina's words. What part of I only see them as my friends didn't you understand? You can't force me to love you. No matter what you say, in the end we will marry you, we will consummate the love we have with you, we will have many children with you, and you will become the next right hand of God, all according to the plan our parents have. At Zenobia's words he groaned in sadness. They don't really love him because if they did they would have to let him decide or be happy. They only care about their own happiness at the expense of yours. Can't they just leave him alone and live his life with whoever he wants? Is he condemned to be the prince in that golden cage that is heaven, while he is the plaything of those who were once his friends? He didn't want this. I wanted to be free. Love whoever he wanted. I wanted to. Rias. She was in a meeting sitting next to Razor who kept looking at her as if she were a juicy piece of meat. I wanted so badly to wipe that stupid smile off that guy, but I had to behave. Unfortunately Razor started touching her on her leg. Feeling only disgust from his touch. Come on Rias, why don't you accept that we're going to be happy together? She didn't answer him. He tried to think of something else so as not to give in to his anger. Your daughter is a very difficult young lady, Lord Gremory. I know Lord Phoenix, but I think she will understand that this is the best for both families. They were the patriarchs who spoke of their children. All the matriarchs. Then Alana, what do you think our grandchildren will be like? I don't know, my friend, but I think they will be cute and I hope there are many to pamper them. Your daughter doesn't like my son, friend. I know but you will understand that this is the life of an heiress and whether you like it or not, you must accept it. Rias listened perfectly to everything her parents said. Grandchildren. As if I was going to let that bastard touch her. The good of both families. All of that is just a means to ensure their blood. But you have to accept it. But never. She will never accept that guy as her husband. She will never see Razor as the man she loves since there is only one in her heart. Ice. So he got up from the couch and walked away. I don't feel very well so I'm going to leave, with your permission. The patriarchs did not like that. They didn't like their daughter's rebellious attitude. She walked away to the halls of the mansion where she hugged herself. Feeling dirty just by feeling the touch of that demon. If I hated him before, now I wanted to crush him. But the worst was yet to come. Here you are my dear Rias. He turned around to see what that guy was. I had followed her. What do you want Razor? Her voice was cold with him. What do I want? Well, you in my bed, enjoying your body and making you ask me for more and more until you lose consciousness from so much pleasure, that's what I want, but unfortunately you play hard to get with me. Laughter just hearing it gave him a headache. Don't you have anywhere else to say your stupid things? Nope, not today. She was just about to leave, but the idiot grabbed her by the arm. Hey, what are you doing? Let me go. We haven't finished talking Rias, have you forgotten that I'm your fiancé? I just want you to be mine, so why don't we go to a room and consummate the love we have for each other, okay? She just looked at him coldly and hard and then said. Don't expect anything from me. That made the high-class devil angry. So much so that I cornered her against the wall. Listen to me Hitch, we're going to get married soon, so why don't you get used to the idea that you'll help me relieve my stress every time I get back from a battle. Leave me alone. I'll have to force you to understand the hard way. He grabbed her leg and was about to kiss her. She panicked as she did not want that fake man to have her first kiss. So, caring little about the consequences, he used his inherited power, the Hakai, and with it, he created a sphere to drive away the blonde, who was injured. Ah damn Hitch. She ran to her room and locked the door, then searched her closet for a travel bag that she usually takes with her when she goes to the middle world. He found it and took it to put some things in it. And opening the window he was preparing to leave. Rias opened the door. It was her mother who looked very angry. And he had no intention of listening to her, so he spread his wings and left from there. He flew far away until he reached a forest and used his magic circle to go to the middle world. He had only one name in his thoughts. Ice. The wedding will be unique, girls, we will all get married in elegant white dresses, the honey-haired girl's eyes were shining with excitement. I know Irina-san, we will make our future with Issei-san. Asia was also the same as her partner dreaming of that perfect future next to the brown-haired boy. And don't forget your wedding night, girls, it will be unforgettable, said the blue-haired girl who imagined that scene, soaking her lips with her tongue. You might be wondering what was happening. They were the three girls who talked about their plans without caring that Issei was listening to them. He just had his head on the table, wishing to get out of that torment. When? Ice. He heard a voice that sounded familiar to him. That voice was from Rias. Your friend. The three angels managed to hear that name although it was in a whisper. That name scared them in their ears, afraid that Rias would steal the angel that they had worked so hard to achieve through their commitment. They were going to ask him who she was, but without even telling them, he got up from the table and ran away. Issei-chan, Issei-san. He didn't hear them as all he had on his mind at that moment was his beloved friend calling him. I was in trouble and had to go no matter what. He left the city until he reached the fields of heaven. You. At the scream the little pink creature appeared. Take me where I always go, something is happening to Rias. Yu nodded and stood on his head to carry him in a flash of light. When he got there he flew with his wings to where they usually meet. He flew as fast as he could because he felt something had happened. When she arrived she could see her friend sitting in the shade of the same tree near the waterfall. Rias, I'm here, as it is he fell silent. When she saw her friend hugging her legs and had tears in her eyes. He approached her. You have laughs. Rias noticed that the brown-haired boy had arrived. She threw herself into his arms. She immediately hugged him, clinging to him. She cried on his chest, and when she felt the angel hug her too, she felt safe. Issei knew that something bad had happened to his friend. And whatever it is, it won't let this go. Even if you have to kill. Rias, tell me who I have to kill. Stay with me, just stay with me, said the demon through tears. As you command. That same day they both understood the hard way that those who value do not care what they want. Only your interests. Now at that very moment they only had each other. Since reality is simple. They are slaves. Stay with me. 2 hours. It took 2 hours for both of them to calm down. Issei hugged Rias and she hugged him. They both didn't want to separate for anything. In fact, both of them did not want or have the intention of returning to their kingdoms. Issei didn't want to listen anymore to how his friends planned and boasted about the marriage they were going to formalize. And Rias didn't want to apologize or humiliate herself before that bastard who only wanted to take her to bed and impregnate her so that she would give him and his family a strong heir. They both hate the futures others chose for them. They hated their lives. I don't want to go back to the underworld, not now. I don't want you to get away from me. Me neither, Rias, I don't want to go back to heaven, not now. It was obvious that the two did not want to separate. Never. In heaven God himself was watching. I looked at both young people who were one step away from doing what their hearts told them to do. Very soon I would be a spectator of what would be something that would break the natural rules. Many of his angels hate demons. And many of the demons hate their angels. Can there be peace between these two races? Many would say it is impossible, but nothing is impossible. The forest was visible, but then several trees were seen falling. Then someone would throw them into a pile. The trees were dragged by a chain. Chain that was worn by the brown angel who did not have his shirt and was sweating. I think this wood will do. He dragged her until he reached the meadow near the waterfall. By piling the logs on one side he went to a specific space. After taking some manual measurements with his light, he created a shovel to dig and level the earth. Then with stones and river mud, he created a foundation where he dried them with a little of the heat of his sacred light. And with mastery with the sword he threw the logs into the air and cut them the way he wanted. He made the base by interlacing the logs, using sap and iron nails he made the walls. By cutting the wood in various ways he was able to make more things like a door and windows until he managed to make the roof. Finally he made a fireplace with river rocks and mud. All this using their light to heat the clay and also molding to make light tools such as hammers, saws. In the end everything turned out wonderfully. He built a comfortable yet homely cabin with his own building and tool skills. Ice. The brown-haired boy turned to see that his friend had arrived with a hand-pulled cart in which she had some things. I got a deer and 2 hares, apart from some vegetables that I took from a garden near. She had fallen silent. Because what his eyes saw was something beautiful. You made it so fast. It is missing some details like some internal walls, but I did what I could. For Rias it would be the house of his dreams. Because despite being the heiress of a powerful demonic family, she did not like extravagant things like a big mansion or piles of wealth. She was a person who likes to be simple with what she has. Ice is beautiful. For Issei those words gave him a great feeling of joy. So much that it warmed his heart. They both entered and saw the interior. Issei had plans to put up a wall to give Rias privacy, but she told him no. Some time later the Rias had gotten a large pot in which she made a stew, while Issei made some wooden spoons and bowls, as well as utensils. They both enjoyed the food. How delicious, Rias, this is the best thing I have ever tried in my life. This isn't much ice, but thanks. Both in the presence of the other enjoyed that time together. The afternoon came and both young people walked through the forest, looking at the wonderful creatures that were in it. But they stopped at a lake where several water birds were swimming. It was a hairy moment for them. There was so much beauty in that place. Rias, this place is amazing, I can't believe there aren't places like this in heaven. There aren't any in the underworld either, Ice, that's why I love being here in the middle more than down there. I wish we could stay here forever. Rias was captivated by those words since that was another of her wishes, and knowing that Issei shared that same wish made her feel that there was still hope. Hope that I could be happy by his side. Everything at that moment was happiness until something happened. Rias, what's going on there? She looked where Issei was pointing and saw something she didn't think she would see. It was a white swan trying with its beak to make another swan floating in the water move. Apparently. Oh no. Rias, what's wrong? Ice, that male swan just lost his mate. This left Issei in shock, since losing someone he loved would be something very painful which he hopes he will not have to go through. But what made him most terrified was seeing how the male suddenly put his head in the water and thrashed around in it. It was like he was drowning alone. What are you doing? She did not dare to tell him because she knows what most birds can do when they lose their partner and especially swans. But I don't expect that Issei, seeing how the swan was drowning, tried to stop him, but she hugged him so that he wouldn't be. Rias, what are you doing? I have to help him. You can't do anything, you'll only make him suffer more. What are you talking about? Swans commit suicide when they lose their partners, they cannot bear the pain of living without them. For Issei, that was a complete shock since suicide is one of the most hated sins in all of heaven, and seeing a beautiful creature want to commit such an act made his stomach turn. Then I have to help him. If you do, the swan will turn back into the water and try again, or worse, it will fly high until it falls and crashes into the ground. It is impossible to change their mind. Then I can't do anything. She hugged him, putting her head on his chest, preventing him from looking at such a scene while the angel began to cry, and even more so when she heard how the swan continued to drown alone. Just stay with me, everything will pass quickly. Don't ask me to do that, please, I have to help him. Ice. He looked at her and saw that there were tears in her eyes too. It also hurt him to have to listen. So even though his good angel heart told him to stop that bird, he obeyed the devil. He hugged her desperately, trying to ignore the sounds of the swan. Stay with me, please stay with me, the demon told him, trying to calm him down. Issei felt the red-haired demon's tears in his hair, a sign that she was holding back her crying. They were like that for 2 minutes until they heard no more. Just silence. He was afraid to see, but he gathered his courage and looked at the lake. Now there were 2 white swan carcasses floating in the water. The male had died. Issei burst into tears, feeling so helpless and above all so useless for wanting to help and save someone. Rias knew that Issei had a pure heart, not because he was an angel, but because he appreciated what life was. They were both crying now for the loss they just saw. Issei after an hour began to dig a hole near the lake, while Rias took the corpses of the swans and took them out of the water. With that, they both buried them well to prevent scavengers from wanting to eat them. They stood at that grave looking, and Issei put a wooden cross on the grave. And giving a prayer, he begged God that both creatures would have eternal rest. That day the angel understood that the world is not beautiful all the time, but that it also has its dark side. It's already nightfall. Both young people returned to their cabin where they had dinner and tried to forget that moment of sadness and anguish. They hadn't looked at each other at dinner until Issei decided to speak. The stew is delicious, Rias. Thanks, Ice. Then both returned to silence. When they gathered their plates to wash them, Issei spoke again. I don't understand. That confused Rias. What don't you understand? I don't understand how he wanted to commit suicide instead of trying to get over the death of his partner. For God, that is a sin since life is a gift. Ice. Why couldn't I do something? If only I could have prevented that. Issei, none of that was your fault, that usually happens when those birds lose their partners. But I still don't understand. She approached him. Ice, if I were to die, what would you do? Don't tell me that. The scream at those words scared the retreat a little. I don't want you to tell me that kind of thing again. I couldn't even think that that could happen because I don't want that to happen. You are the most important thing to me, Rias, and if you leave I won't. I had remained silent knowing what he was going to say. Now do you understand that, Swan? Living without the love of your life is usually totally horrible because loneliness is a poison that kills you slowly until all trace of life is forgotten from your heart. That is why I understand that, Swan, if you leave I will. Well then I won't leave your side, Rias, I won't leave you. I don't care what heaven or my father says because I love you and I couldn't. He fell silent when he realized what he said in front of her. He told her that he loved her. Rias was in total shock upon hearing those words from the one she loves. I couldn't believe them. Issei walked away from her, looking down, causing the girl to look at him with disgust. Rias, I'm sorry, I don't know why I said it. If we're friends, Issei. She took the angel's face with her hands and made him look into her eyes. There were tears on the face of the she-devil that were not of sadness but of joy. Rias. Issei, I want you to tell me now, I want you to tell me if you love me. Before the beautiful eyes of the one who had stolen his heart, the angel could not resist. He couldn't ignore what his heart was screaming at him. He couldn't ignore that he had fallen in love with her. So sending his father's plans to hell. His friend's commitments to him. Heaven's desires. He touched his forehead with hers and hugging her around the waist he said. I love you like you have no idea, so much that I thank God that we met that day. He brought her closer to him and said. Please stay with me forever and ever, I don't want to have a life without you. Rias, hearing the words of the angel she fell in love with, were all an oath that reached her heart. An oath that I was going to honor with much love and devotion. I love you, yes, I will stay with you, Ice, of course I will stay with you, because life after you would be an endless punishment. I would not survive without you by my side. I do not want to and cannot live without you. I would give anything so that I am never taken away from your side. They both now knew one thing. The love was mutual and reciprocated. And between tears and happiness they managed to kiss, finally feeling the lips of the person they loved. Now nothing could separate them, not even those who had plans for them. She clung to his neck with her legs and tightened her arms around her beloved angel's waist as her black, sharp demon wings sprouted from his back. She was determined to give herself to him. While he continued kissing her, enjoying the love of his beloved, and her wide and feathered angel wings sprouted from her back. Both, without separating from each other, went to bed with him on top of her. They both looked at each other with love and devotion to touch their foreheads, ready to give themselves body and soul. That night in the cabin, the moon witnessed the consummation of a love that for heaven and Hades was a total blasphemy. But they don't care because they have each other. Together they would overcome whatever they throw at them. Being united. Let me know in the comments below if you guys want the next part. Also check out my other video that has been shown and left. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and share this video. And have a fantastic day. Bye.